Yeah, so let's do this one. So where are you from? If you are online with us right now, you'll be able to see the answers. And oh, Gauteng, KZN, lots of Gauteng, which is really cool. It's so amazing what you can do with this stuff. So just have fun. And awesome. Lots of Gauteng, 10 from Gauteng, 2 from the Free State. Alrighty, for 30 people so far. I'm sorry, I'm just going to adjust the light so I don't look like a ghost. Apparently the sun is shining directly on my. Cool. Awesome. Hi, Gillian. Thanks for the message. Okay, so great. This sort of looks where we're going to be at. I'm going to start because we only have, well, I want to keep it to an hour for you so that I'm sure you have other plans for your day. If you get stuck, there is a chat option, so you can just let me know if you're really stuck. I'll try and pause the chat after each section that I've done and just look at any questions you have. If I'm going too fast, please just let me know, slow me down, say, whoa, Del, you're doing that thing you always do where you talk too fast. Okay, and then I'll walk through a couple of things with you. So the nice thing about the Sharp simulator is, firstly, it's free, so your students can download it and it works on a PC or a laptop. Unfortunately not on Android yet, but we are working on that. So yeah, so that you can get your students to download it to their PCs and do exercises that way, and I'll walk through the steps with you just so that you've got it. Okay, so it looks like the majority of everyone is from Gauteng. Hello to the one person from Northwest and Limpopo and Eastern Cape. Thank you for joining us. It's really exciting. The nice thing about doing all of this is you have such a diverse spread and you can share with so many people, which is really cool. All right, so I'm going to end the polling. Thank you so much for doing this. It's really exciting. Let's go through. All righty, so let me share these results so you can see yourself. Awesome. So now you can see what I've just sent to you. And the polling thing is really nice on Zoom. It comes with your webinar functionality. So that's quite a nice handy thing. I'll walk you through the different options of Zoom as well. What I'm now using is a webinar function. So unfortunately, I cannot hear you. You can just hear me, which is quite sad. But you do have the Q&A option and the chat option. So I'll try and work through those and make sure that I get to your questions as fast as possible. So, thanks, Lisa. So much load shedding. Load shedding is so frustrating. And that's another thing that we really have to work around with this whole thing. Is just blows my mind how Eskom can now dump on top of a pandemic load shedding with us. So, yay. Okay, cool. So this is the sort of plan for today. I'm going to walk you through the basics of Zoom and getting started with the calculator, downloading a couple of things. There's some lovely websites that you can direct students to. I'm going to show you some of the basics around the calculator. And then we've got a diverse range of topics for you. I know some of you are from foundation phase. If you find this far too cray for you, especially, I mean, calculus, you're welcome to drop off. I promise I won't be offended. I really appreciate you joining us for this anyway. So just hang tight. If you do have questions, just send them. Okay, then there's a star next to Euclidean geometry because, to be quite frank, it is not my favorite topic. But I do have a friend named Kevin Smith of the Handbook and Study Guide series who has agreed to do a joint webinar with us on Euclidean geometry. So it won't be around the Sharp calculator, but it will be around teaching Euclidean geometry, which is really exciting. So we will obviously host it and sponsor it for you, and then Kevin will do that section, which is, I think, awesome. He's such a great teacher. Okay, cool. So let's talk about Zoom. So Zoom is what we are currently using. And from what I've seen, it's really a great tool that you can use. All the workshops that I've attended have been on Zoom. The nice thing is that you can record it and send it out to participants later so they can rewatch it if they missed something. One of my friends was telling me her daughter is doing everything online and she's thriving. Every time she gets stuck with something on maths, she just goes and rewatches the video the teacher sent. So instead of you repeating yourself 40 times, the student just watches your video 40 times. So it does save you as a teacher a lot of time. And it also allows the students to go back without feeling embarrassed, which is really cool. So all of this is automatically recorded on Zoom as soon as you start your webinar. You can choose if you want to stop filming. So if you wanted to share something personal, you could pause the video, say what you need to say to those who are here at the time, and then move on and start re-recording it. So there's a lot of nice things. And of course, you can edit your videos afterwards. So you can send particular things to students and make certain things available. Now, Zoom, I'm not sure if you spent any time. Let's see this chat here. Cool. So if you spent any time before 9 o'clock when I clicked on, you would have been in the waiting room, and that just allows your students to gather before you are ready. So you can just allow people in. And then of course, what I'm using now is screen share. So if you've got a PowerPoint presentation, you can do this. Zoom also has a whiteboard, which is really awesome. So you can do your own writing as you're doing the video. That does require some practice. So I'm not going to do that today because I'm not a good mouse coordinator. You've also got the raise your hand feature, which you guys did earlier. You've got breakout rooms. So if you wanted them to do a group work presentation or just to hang out and chat to each other, I'm sure the kids must be really lonely, those who are staying home. I mean, I'm lucky enough to live on a plot with the rest of my family. So I get to see other people. Granted, it's family, but you know. So I'm sure it gets lonely. So it would be great to have the breakout rooms where they can talk to each other and just have some kid time as well. And of course, you don't have to record anything with breakout rooms, but it does give the kids a little bit of space to chat. And then of course, if you see here, we've got the chat function. And Jillian says her brother is Kevin Smith. Awesome. So, and then I see I've got another Q&A. Okay, cool. All right, let me talk about removing that 40-minute time limit, which I see is the Q&A now. So what Zoom has done is they've removed the 40-minute time limit for schools. And basically all you have to do is go onto Zoom and let me see, maybe the best option here is, where's my screen share? Sorry. All right. So if I show you, sorry, this thing is in my way. If we go into Google and we say Zoom, sorry, I wasn't planning to do it exactly this way. So what you can do is the teachers can now register, your school can register with Zoom, and if you send them the correct details, which is here, they will allow you to remove that time limit, which is really nice because then at least you've got more than 40 minutes on Zoom. And so Zoom has really just come a long way, sorry about that, in terms of helping education. And with all of the extras on your screen, you have so many options. All right, so let's go back. There we go. All right, so I've put a link in my PowerPoint presentation to a training video on how to use Zoom, which is awesome. So I watched that myself and I found it very helpful. And so what I will do after this is send you a link to my PowerPoint presentation, which you can then download yourself. It will be PDF because it will be a smaller file. So that's a really handy, I found it super helpful the way she talks about how you should do some of the things that you can do, and just basically even setting up your classroom with Zoom. So that's a super, super handy training video. I'm just going to look here, see a couple more chats. Poll notification. Oh, apologies. See, it is my first time. Cool. Thanks, Victor. And then let me just look at the Q&A. Okay, cool. Those are all this. Alrighty. So let's move on to our next page. So if you haven't downloaded the simulator, there is a link which you can do again after the workshop. I'll show you the simulator now. I've linked it through onto the PowerPoint, so it's really handy. Another really nice one to use is GeoGebra, and just exploring functions and graphs on GeoGebra. There are a couple of requests for scale, which we'll look at just now. And then lots and lots of places where your students can actually just download worksheets. So you can tell them, you can send a specific link from these places. If I look, I've used a lot of them in my extra maths lessons as well with students. So that's really handy. Should not be. Okay, cool. So we've got, sorry, my alarm is going off. Just give me a second, I'm just going to see what's going on with the kids. Okay, sorry. Awesome. Okay, so let me talk about the Sharp EL-W535SA. Obviously, this is the reason that we're hosting this workshop, and hopefully why you've joined, because we're going to send you one after the PowerPoint presentation. So what I will do after this is tomorrow, let's be honest, tomorrow, I will send you another form to fill in where you can tell me where you would like us to send your calculator. Okay, so we're going to send you a calculator. It will be a luck of the draw, color-wise, whatever you get. And what really makes this calculator awesome is we've designed it around the CAPS curriculum. So it's designed specially for South Africa, which is why it says SA at the back. It's got 422 functions, which is a lot. And we, over the last 2 years, have put 500,000 of these into Gauteng schools, which is really exciting. And if I tell you, we did training with the students. So we did a pre-test before the training, then we did an hour-long training session with them where they worked on the calculator, and then we did a post-test with them to see the improvements. And if you look at my screen, you'll see a 40% improvement, which is huge and really exciting. So it really shows you what a difference just having a calculator can make. Now, if you look at the bottom of my screen, you'll see a little orange calculator, and if I press that, it's going to bring up my simulator. So this is really nice. Sorry, it's just being here. Okay, so you can move it around so that it suits you. And what's nice here with the simulator is that if I press anything and I capture it, it's going to take a photo of this section here, and you can use that in your questions later with your students. All right, I see a couple of people raising hands. No simulator. Okay, sorry, give me a second. Let me share the simulator. Apologies. So this is the, can you see it now? Just give me a wave. That's a yay. Yay! Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is the simulator again. From what you can see is you need to actually select what you've raised or what you're sharing with your group of people. Okay, I'm going to go back. So I've got lots of nonsense on my screen here. And awesome. Thanks, guys. Cool. My screen sharing is paused. Why is that? Okay. Let me go back here. Share this. Okay, so let's just move this way here. Cool. So are you all happy here? We can see the screen again. Okay, so let's go back through to calculator basics. So what you'll see here, I'm just going to move my face, is some important buttons. Obviously, the on button, really important. The orange second function, which you should be quite comfortable with. Just you use it in order to turn on other orange functions. If you look at your calculator, you'll see all the orange stuff here, like percentage, random, etc. Alpha is this blue button here, and that's used mostly for statistics and your memory keys. Mode is what selects your different modes, and we'll go through the modes now. BS is for backspace, just in case you were wondering. It's not the other stuff. And then, of course, change is really nice because it changes between your mixed decimals, your improper fractions, etc., etc. Okay, and then, of course, we've got equals, and equals is obviously how you type it. Okay, now that you have 4 different modes: normal, stat, table, and drill. And so normal does things like fractions, integers, probability, which I will walk through with you just now, statistics, which we got a lot of requests to cover, so I'm going to show you both univariate statistics and bivariate, so basic stats, and then linear regression stats. And then, of course, table mode. Oh, and table mode is awesome for teaching things like standard deviation, for teaching things like simple and compound interest, for teaching trigonometry, where you can look at finding the cast diagram and how it works. I'll show you that in a few. And then, of course, you have drill, which is my favorite. And let me show you how drill works quickly. So if you have them all in the waiting room, perhaps this is another thing that you can do. And you can just say, guys, just do 25 questions on mental maths for me quickly. Let's see who gets to 100 fast or first. Okay, and so if you look at your calculator, you'll see your first screen will say math and table, and you can choose. For the high school students, I would choose math, and I would choose the one, sorry, I've lost my calculator. I would choose the plus, minus, times, divide option. And then, of course, you've got equals, and that will make your calculator go. And then, of course, you've got your questions. So I'm obviously not going to do it right now with you, but you can type in the answer. So the first question is, all of the questions are completely random, so you'll never have the same set of questions, which is really nice as well. So you can type in the first answer, which is 20, and then you would press equals, and you'll see it will mark it correct and give you a new question. If you get the question wrong, which you can see is what happened here, it will mark it wrong and then repeat the question again. And the calculator is very patient. It's going to keep asking you until you get it right. If you are stuck and you don't know the answer, you can leave the space blank, so you don't type anything in, and you just press equals, and it will show you the answer. What's really nice about this calculator or function is that it is also on our junior calculator, which is a little blue S25, and basically the difference is the S25 is a heck of a lot cheaper, and it has the drill function, and it has counting ins. So if you wanted to practice, for example, counting in 4s, then you would be able to do that up till 12 times 4, which is really nice. So those are also available. If you're interested in those, please let me know. I unfortunately don't have a simulator for it yet, but I am pushing to get one, so hopefully that will be in the near future. Okay, I'm just seeing a couple of chats here. I'm just going to pause. Yeah, thanks, Gillian. We'll definitely look at maybe doing one of those once I have a simulator for it. And I see a Q&A. Hi, Edward. With your connectivity challenge, we are going to record it, and then we are going to send it out afterwards. So if you get stuck, you can always watch it again later if you're still keen. Okay, cool. Let's talk about fractions. So fractions is quite a complicated thing, and you use it from, I mean, grade 6, grade 7, all the way through to matric, basically. And there's such a nice way that we can do this. So I just want to do this example with you. All right, can you all see the calculator? So the example is 4/5 plus 2/9. So I'm just going to move this. Okay. So we're just going to say 4, and we're going to press this fraction button here, and you'll see the 4 automatically hops up on top. It's the lazy way of doing it. 5, and then of course you must move your cursor out of the denominator to the right-hand side, plus 2, and again we're going to do it the lazy way, so we're going to press the fraction afterwards, and 9, and then equals. And that's as easy as it is, and you can see it's 1 and 1 out of 45. So you can change what your fraction or answer looks like by pressing the change button, and you'll see here that we've actually got a recurring decimal. So what I want to show you on the next slide, and I'm just going to jump straight into it, is to show you how to set your calculator to show you that something is recurring, or the format of recurring. So we're going to press setup, and we're going to press down, and you'll see number 5 says recurring decimal. So we press 5, and we're going to press 1 for on. Now, if I press change and I cycle through it again, you'll see now it says 1 and a bar on top of 2 to indicate recurring. And if I press change again, it will still show me the normal decimal format. So it just cycles through 4 if there is a recurring decimal in its place. Cool. Everyone happy? Sorry. There's lots of people who are keen. I just want to, there we go. Okay, so that's the recurring decimal. So you can see all of this is in your steps, so that you've got to follow. Cool. Anna, we did the deals through the Department of Education in Gauteng, so they sourced the calculators for us, and we then went in and did training with them afterwards. So yes, if we can get the departments in Mpumalanga to get these calculators for you. It's a pleasure, Victor. Awesome. Okay, let's go through the next slide. So integers, very important on the Sharp. You need to use your negative button when you are indicating that a number is negative. And the reason for that is because this negative indicates a value of a minus answer, or a minus value, whereas this negative indicates minus, so as in a function. So we just need to be very careful of the difference between the two. Okay, so on your calculator, apologies, I really have gone the wrong way. Okay, so on your calculator, we can just say negative 6 times negative 3 and equals, and there you go. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you can see my answer there. Let me just move it. And there's 18. Now, the other nice thing that you can do for the younger guys is to show them the integer rules using your calculator. So if I show you on my calculator here, if I go and I go to table mode, so I say mode and 2 for table, and then what I do is I say -1 times, and to make an X, we use this magical RCL button. You just press it twice, easy peasy. If it's lazy, I promise I will find a way to use it. Okay, so I'll show you all the shortcuts that you could possibly desire. Then what we're going to do is press equals. I'm going to ignore function 2 for now. It's not important. Start and step again, we'll go through, but because your table is unlimited in either direction, it doesn't matter where you start from. The step is for your scale, so we'll talk about scale in a little bit, but generally speaking, for these sort of exercises with the younger guys, step of 1 is perfectly fine. Okay, so equals equals, here's your table. Now 0 times 0 is 0 times a -1 is 0, so that's that. -1 times 1 is -1. In other words, a negative times a positive is a negative, and a negative times a positive is a negative, and so on and so forth. So you'll see on this side Negative times a positive is a negative. If I went here, up into the other side, negative times a negative is a positive. So it's a really nice way for them to see how that rule comes into play. Now, if we did, for example, I'm actually just off the top of my head thinking about this, what we could do is two functions. So we could have negative 1 times x as your function 1, and as your second function, we could have 1 times x, and equals, equals, equals. And now you can see negative 1 times a positive is a negative, and a positive times positive is a positive. So you can actually compare the different rules across for your inputs. Okay, cool. Everybody happy so far? No questions? Awesome. Alrighty. So probability is a really lot of fun again. And what we're going to do is look at some of that. Oh, so your magical home button is amazing. Let me just tell you. So if I press home, it will automatically take me back to normal mode. So from whatever mode I'm in, wherever I have snarled up the computer, or calculator, sorry, I just press home, it will take me to normal mode, and I can continue with my regular calculations. I love that feature. But I'm biased, so forgive me. So what you can do on the calculator is you can say second function and 7, and it will give you a whole series of random options. Okay, so we've got random, which does random decimals to 3 decimal places, R dice, which is basically exactly like a dice, so you have 1 to 6, R coin, which is random zeros and ones, and you just choose which one is heads and which one is tails, and random integer, which is any 2 numbers. So if you wanted to, for example, play the lottery with your students, you could get them to choose their own lottery numbers on the calculator, or they can choose their own random numbers on the screen, and then you can generate the random numbers on your calculator. So in fact, let's do that now. So if, for example, I say I want the random integers, and we're going to do the lottery because it's always a fun exercise. So we have numbers between 1 and 52. So we're going to press that X, Y button, and then we say 52, and then we just press equals, and it will generate random numbers for the lottery. Okay, so lots of fun. So I want to show you a couple of games that you can do with this. On the calculator. So let me find my screen. PowerPoint. Cool. So there's some lovely things that you can do. For example, all of your students can use the calculator and, for example, do a dice, and they all roll the dice, and then they say what number they got. So that in your chat or your Q&A function, whichever you prefer, you can just get them to say 1, 2, 3, and you can create a tally table from that. So on your whiteboard, you can say, you can create a poll on Zoom. So for example, what we just did with the provinces earlier, we can do the same thing with your calculators. You can play Snap. So you can get them to generate random numbers between whatever you like, 1 and 100. And then if they pull the same number on the calculator, they can say Snap or whatever makes them happy. Okay, you can use it to test multiples, finding factors. So if you say, for example, generate random numbers between 1 and 100, and then you get 99, they must find all the factor pairs of 99. So there's lots of nice exercises that you can just jump into without having to do too much prep work. And the great thing is, because it's random, everybody is getting different questions. And then if you're in a breakaway room, you can ask each other, you can ask the other students to check each other. So there's lots of nice ways in which to do this. Okay, and again, the favorite is lottery. The reaction with students is just so much fun. I haven't tried it online, but if it does go well, please let me know. And what you can do is ask them to put their lottery numbers into the chat function, so everyone can see exactly what they've got, and then you can really see who wins the lottery. Okay, cool. I see a chat question. I'm just going to answer that quickly. Oh, thanks, AJ. That's awesome. And then Jamile says, I do appreciate that we are in a digital era, but won't too much reliance on technology hinder or impair conceptualization? My goodness, you've had your cup of coffee. Jamile, I do think that we need to be careful how we use technology, but unfortunately we are in a digital age, and what this pandemic has shown us is that we really do actually have to rely on certain things that we never expected that we would. And so we as teachers need to be curators of that, so we can choose how we share that technology and what we do with it. Teaching students to use a calculator to play a game, I think, is an awesome way to do things. But just giving them, this is how you do it on the calculator, is definitely not going to grow them mathematically, I do feel. Okay, cool. Let's move on. I just want to move this way here. Cool. So, chat. Oh, Victor says, please can I repeat the lottery example? Sure, Victor, with pleasure. Let me show you here on the calculator. So it's very easy. I'm just going to press on so you can see. So you're going to use your orange button, second function, and you'll see above number 7 in orange it says random. So we're just going to press 7. And then, of course, you have your 4 different options: random, or dice, or coin, or ints. And if we wanted to do the lottery again, we would say 3. And let's say, for example, it's a basic lottery. So it's only between 1 and 20. So we press 1. Use this X, Y button. It's very handy. And then we say 20. And again, we just press equals to generate our numbers. So as you can see, it's completely random. And so on. Okay, I see one more chat here. I'm just going to pause for that. Yay, for a smiley face. Okay, let's go into trigonometry now. Trigonometry, there's so many nice things that you can do to teach trig here. But the first one is just a shortcut. But it's really a nice shortcut, and particularly for those students who are struggling, your math lit guys who are struggling with Pythagoras, your grade 8s and 9s who do Pythagoras, and then for your grade 10, 11, and 12 FET guys, when you're doing a Cartesian plane point with the triangles, then we can use the shortcut as well. So let me show you on the calculator. So say, for example, we have our base is 5, and our height is 12. Then what we can do is say 5, and then again, we're going to use our magical X, Y button, and then we're going to press 12. And to make Pythagoras, we say second function and 8. And there you go. There is your hypotenuse, which is 13, which we knew because it was a Pythagorean triple. And of course, theta is your angle. So if we're looking at the triangle, it's here. This is your base. This is your hypotenuse, and your height is here. And then this is the angle, 67, something. Okay, you can use it with negative coordinates as well, but you need to be careful of how your angle is calculated with that. Okay. Alrighty. So the next fun thing that we can do with the cos, with trigonometry, is the cos jumped ahead. So what I want to show you here, is that we want to go back into our table mode. So, right, we're going to press mode and 2 for table, and we're just going to start with a basic sine graph. So we're going to say sine, and we're going to make an X, so RCL for our X, and we're going to press equals, leave function 2 for now, let's not complicate things, equals, start. I'm going to be very lazy and leave it at 0, but obviously this would take a long time if I was doing it in steps of 1. And even with 15, it's for the particular exercise I have in mind, it's quite a lot of steps. So I'm actually, for this, going to change it to 45. Okay, so if you look at my table, you'll see our coordinate points, which we can use to draw a sine graph. If I was doing it in steps of 15, you would see a better curve instead of this triangle peaky sort of vibe that we've got going on here. Okay, now if you look, between X is 0 and X is 180, all of our pieces are, all of our sine graph is positive. From 180 to 360, it's negative. So if I go back to my PowerPoint presentation here, and we go to the next screen, you will see that I've filled it in. So from these values on my table, I've managed to put minus, minus, plus, plus, minus, minus, and I'm going to create a pattern. Then I'm going to do the same thing with cos and with tan, so they can see exactly where the graphs are positive. And from that, this is where we get, this is where we get this diagram here, the cos diagram. So it's all, cos is only positive here. All of them are positive between 0 and 90. Sine is only positive between 90 and 180, and only tan is positive between 180 and 270. So it's a really nice way to show your students where the cos diagram comes from. Alrighty, so move this up way here. Now we can also draw graphs, and I want to show you the tan graph just because it's awesome. So here we go. So let's just press on. So if you press on once, it will take you back to your original graph. If you press on twice, it will delete the graph, and then you can type in a new graph. Okay, so we're going to press tan and make an X, RCL, RCL, and then we're going to say equals, we're going to ignore function 2 for now, equals, leave our start at 0 because, you know, I'm lazy, and then we're going to make our step. Instead of 45, we're going to make it 15. Okay, I see your hands, give me a seckie, and equals. And then, of course, you'll see your table with all of your coordinate pairs. And if we look at X is 90, you will see the asymptote. So your students are not confused by the asymptote. They can see exactly what is going on. All right, let me look at these chats quickly and see what's happening here. Okay, thumbs up. And I see some Q&As. Thank you. Yvonne, yes, you can definitely get a copy of the recording. I will probably also load it onto YouTube. So once this is all recorded, we'll put it onto YouTube so that it's available for anybody to watch. All right. Oh, and on that exciting note, thank you, Enrico. Yes, similar but better. I'm just going to put that out there. On that note, let me just share some really exciting news with you. We have managed to get the Sharp 535 onto the Mindset Learn TV show. So from within the next couple of weeks, you'll start seeing the Sharp 535 on the maths, science, and accounting shows, which we're really excited about. I actually spent some time this weekend with the presenters doing some training, so we're really excited to see that come through. So if your students are struggling, Mindset Learn happens, I'm trying to think of the times now, it's in the evening, so between I think 4 and 6 they have different shows and they cover different areas. So for example, calculus one day, and then I have no idea, sciencey topics, but they cover all those various things. So if you have students who are struggling or they just need a different voice, then they can start watching that. We're also going to start doing how-tos on YouTube, sorry, excuse me, that your students can watch as well. So that's really exciting as well. And there's lots of exciting things happening. I use the word exciting a lot because I am excited. Alrighty, so let's move back to our, I'm blushing, Sakesh can't see that. Okay, cool. Let's talk about finance. Now, finance is a particularly lovely topic to teach on the scientific calculator. So I want to show you how to do this. We're going to start with simple interest. Okay, so I'm going to press on, and let's say, for example, we want to invest 1,000 Rand at an interest rate of 5% per annum, and it's simple interest. Okay, so on the calculator, we're going to say 1,000, open brackets, 1 plus, and then to make my percentage, I'm just going to use a fraction because this becomes very important later on. When we start looking at annuities and compounding intervals and so on and so forth. So we're going to do that and type it 100. Use our right arrow key to move that arrow out of the fractions. Very important that the rest of the stuff is not in your denominator or it will skew everything completely. Okay, then we're going to say times, and we're going to put in an X instead of an N value. All right, and close our brackets. You don't have to, but it always looks neater to do it this way. Okay, so if we press equals and ignore all those things, change our step to 1 and equals, you will see now you have a table. And if we look at our table, so this is after 1 year, we earned 50 Rand. After 2 years, we earned an extra 50, so we have 1,100. After 3, we have an extra 50, so we've earned 1,150. You can see where I'm going with this. It's quite easy to see what your actual earning was, how long it would take to get to a certain point. So for example, we could say to our students, guys, how long will it take this amount to double at 5% per annum interest? And all they have to do is go look on the calculator and say it's going to take 20 years at 5% per annum to double my money on simple interest. And the really nice thing here, which we were discussing on Saturday, is, remember, even though you started at 0, you can go into the negative. For simple interest, because of the way the formula works, you can also do simple depreciation. So if I am depreciating at 5% per annum, I can now see that after 3 years, my whatever has lost 150 Rand worth of value. So it's a really nice way to play off between those two and to show them the difference between appreciation and depreciation for the grade 11s and 12s. Okay, so now can I make it more complicated? Let's do compound interest. So what I'm going to do is leave my simple interest formula exactly the way it is. So I'm just going to press equals, and in my function 2, I'm going to put in a compound interest formula. So same values, 1,000, open brackets, 1 plus 5 over 100, right arrow to get out, close my brackets. Here's your exponent button. So it gives you a little block and you can put whatever value you want into your exponent. Press RCL, RCL. Okay, so I'm just going to move that so you can see that's an X, and I'm going to press equals. Again, let's leave our starting step at 0 and 1 and say equals, equals. And here, now we can see, okay, so after 1 year, it makes no difference whether you do compound or simple interest. But after 2 years, you've now gained an extra 2 Rand 50. After 3 years, you've gained an extra 7 Rand and 62 cents. After 4 years, you can see my point. So we can also ask some really nice questions here. Ask your students, when does your compound interest double your simple interest value? Again, this is as simple as, let's go for it. And it's going to take a long time, as you can see. But the nice thing is your calculator is completely unlimited. So you can go for as long as you like, and you're not going to run out of space, which I think is pretty awesome. And such a nice way to teach compounding intervals and so on and so forth. Okay, if you have questions about compounding intervals, let me know. Oh, yay, Enrico, I'm so excited to hear that. Awesome. Okay. Let's go back to where we were. Okay, so that was simple interest. Here's your compound interest formula, and there's all of the table that we looked at earlier. As you can see, your money doubles, or your compound interest doubles your simple interest at 35 years. That's a long time. So obviously the moral of the story is invest in compound interest accounts and put as much as you can into it as soon as you can so that you get the value of the compound interest. That is my financial advice. I'm kidding. But you can see from the maths that that makes sound sense. All right, let's talk about some stats now. So is everyone happy? You're all still following? I see no Q&As apart from I've convinced Enrico. So yay for Enrico. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on to stats then. Sorry, I want to go back here. So what you can see is if I press mode and 1 for stat, this is my stat menu. Let me just move my face. So you've got single data, you've got linear regression, and then here, number 2, a plus bx plus cx squared is basically quadratic formulas. So for example, those of you who are teaching grade 11 and 12 students simple second common differences pattern, you can actually put your pattern and your term value. So your term value for X and your Y value would be your term value, and you can find the formula of your second common differences pattern. It's awesome. So that is in the manual. So if you'd like me to send you the manual, please just let me know. You can reply to my emails. I mean, you've had 40 million of them already in the last couple of days. So if you need one or you'd like to see the full manual, just send me an email and I'll send it to you. It's also in PDF, so it's quite nice and it's useful and pretty. Thank you. I'm going to struggle to say your name here. Lidwinia. I'm sorry, I butchered that. I apologize. Okay, yay for being embraced. Okay, let's move on. So let's do the stats. So here, let's do single data in the actual calculator. So let me switch screens here. Okay, so our data is Tandiwe's mental maths marks that she did on the calculator, vastly improved. Sorry, so let's just get to stats. So mode, 1 for stat, 0 for single data. Thanks, Enrico. Thanks for coming. We appreciate your time. Okay, cool. So stats, what we're going to do is we're going to say our X value, we're just going to type in the values into our table. So we're going to say 3 and we just press equals, simple as that. 20 equals 21 equals 23, whoopsie, equals 16 equals, sorry, I actually can't see my, I've lost my calculator. Apologies. I'm just going to pull up another one. Sorry, guys. There it is. Okay, cool. Let me just move so you can see. Okay, cool. So we said 16, 15. I can't see the rest of my thing, so I'm just going to make them up. 21 equals 24 equals and 25 equals. All right, so that's all of our data. If you wanted to go back and change anything, all you have to do is just go and highlight. So for example, that 3 seems very low. It should actually be 13. So we can just say 1, 3, overwrite it, press equals, and it will just automatically change it for you. So it's a really nice way to deal with your data. When we are done with typing in our data, we press our change button. So change just changes between your data screen, so you can go back and edit at any stage. You can add new data if you want to, and then once you're done, you come back here and we do the statistics calculation. Now, here's the really hard part. Are you ready? We're going to press the green button, alpha. We're going to press 8, and we're going to press 0. And that's it. Voila, there's all of your information. So she did 9 different calculations. Her average mark was 19.77, or basically 20. We use the sigma x as our standard deviation because that is the formula that we are taught in FET maths. So our standard deviation of marks is 4, and there's our sum of all of the marks. For those of you who are teaching, who don't teach stats, you can use this in your own class marks so that you can calculate everything very quickly as well. It's much easier to put this all into a statistics function on the calculator. You have space for 100 and then to go from there. The next screen is your minimum, your quartiles, your median, and your maximum. So you've got everything you need in one easy step. Just basically, I'll repeat it. Alpha 8 for your menu, which you can see is stat, in green over there, and then 0 for all of your statistics values, and everything is there for you. Simple as can be. It's the best. I'm biased, but I feel like it's the best stats method you could ever do. I'm going to just look at the chats. I see there's 2 that have come up. Oh, thank you, AJ. That's awesome. Victor, must I repeat myself? Are you happy? Yes. Finding the stats is really, really easy. I can't believe we haven't come up with this before. But can you imagine how much time we're going to save our students by simply doing this instead. So that's really nice. I'm going to show you linear regression now. I just want to find my calculations. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. All right, so that was single data. There's all of the summaries for you. And now let's look at linear regression. Okay, so as you can see, I did a maths exercise. So this is the number of exercises the student did, and this is the number of marks he improved by over the number of exercises that he did. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge to any students who are watching. Okay, cool. Before I continue, let me just check these chats. Thanks, Henry, that was awesome. And then I see I have a Q&A. Thanks, Yvonne. Yay! I'm glad to hear you guys are all loving the calculator. Okay, cool. So let's put our data into the calculator. I'm just going to switch my screens here and hope that I can see what I'm doing. Sorry, let me just move this so that there we go. Okay. So in order to exit your stats, you do need to press on before you can do anything else. Okay, so that's just a quick FYI. And then if you want to, for example, enter your stats, so what will happen is if you are using your normal stats mode and you go back to home, or you go to your drill mode, or you come back to it later, all of your stats will still be there. So if you want to clear out the stats and do a new question, you must press second function and mode to clear. The only time it will automatically clear your table is if you go into a different statistics mode. Okay, cool. So we are now going to go and do our linear regression. So we're going to press 1 for stat and 1 for line. Okay, so you have two options here when inputting the data. Your first option is you type all of your x's in, 1 equals 2 equals 3 equals etc, etc. And then you go back and you type in all of your y's afterwards. That for me feels a bit long, and it seems to lose the point of coordinate pair for your scatter plot. So how I like to enter the data is to put them in as a pair of values. So to do that, we're going to press 1, and then we're going to use our wonderful button that we used earlier for Pythagoras, the x, y button, and then we're going to press 11 and equals, and that's it. There's your first data. So let's do the rest. So 2xy 15 equals 3 and 19 equals 4 and 23 equals 5 and 26 equals 6 and 28 equals, and 7 and 35 equals. Okay, so that's all of our data. And again, simple as change or change back to that to go and check that everything is fine. All right, are you ready? So again, very simple. We're going to say alpha and 8. Now you'll see the 1 is no longer crossed out. It is for your regression value. It's for the line. So if I wanted to find all of my statistics values, again, I just say 0. It will give me my x's. It will give me my y's. So you've got everything that you need right over there in the summary page. If we want to find the linear regression, then we say alpha 8, and instead of 0, we choose 1. So we're going to press 1, and there's your line. So our y-intercept is 7,428. Our gradient is 3,75, and our r is not quite perfect, but it's a pretty straight line, 0,99, and there's your correlation coefficient squared. So everything is there, super, super easy to use. Okay. Cool. Everyone happy? Any questions? Send me a wave if you are happy or you'd like me to repeat that. Well, then let's change that. If you would like me to repeat that, do you want to just wave at me? I can't see your faces, so I don't know if you're happy or sad. It's quite difficult. Yay! Can I repeat that for you, Ms. Newart? Okay, I'm going to do it for everybody again. Just a quick version of it. So I'm not going to re-enter the data. I'm just going to go back. So we'll go back to the table. Let's just add another piece just so you can see. So for example, we're going to have 8 and let's make it 14. So we're going to have 8 and 40. So again, 8, your x, y button to put the big coordinate comma there, and then 40 equals to input the data. And you can see it's just so easy just to add any extra things onto your table for you. When we are done with the data, again, we press change. So change to change the screen. So in normal mode, change changes your fraction, and in stat mode, change changes between your data or changes your screen. Cool. Very easy. It's your green key, alpha. Then we press 8. And it's just 1 for regression value. And there we go. All sorted and easy peasy. And of course, because now we've added a new value, you can see that our A and B have also changed. So that's also a nice way to get your students to look at what happens when we add or change data. Now, the other nice thing that I want to show you is you can, I didn't put it into the slideshow, but I realized I should really show you this, is if you wanted to, for example, extrapolate your data or interpolate your data. Okay, so if, for example, we wanted to predict if he did 6.5 hours, what would his mark improve by then? So what we can say is 6.5, and we're looking for our y value. So on top of your closed bracket, you'll see there's a little orange y with the hat. So all we do is say second function and our closed bracket button, and it will tell us that he should improve by 32.5 marks approximately. We can do the same. So say, for example, we know he's improved by 45 marks. How many exercises would he have had to do in order to get that improvement? We can say second function and your open brackets button, and then it gives us 9,639, I think is a decimal. Sorry, forget that I can't change it there. Sorry, so 45, second function, and 9. Sorry, second function and that one, and that will give us 9,639. Cool. I see there's one chat here. Awesome, great. Okay, shall we move on then? So, sorry, I see I'm running out of time quickly here. So if I do, I apologize. That's all of that stuff. So teaching graphs is really a great thing to do on the calculator, very similar to your teaching simple and compound interest. So I'm not going to actually do it on the calculator. I just want to walk you through the idea of it so that you can do it with your students. So what we've done is on table mode, we've simply put in an X, okay? And what that does is it gives you exactly the same coordinate pairs. In other words, X is equal to Y, and if I drew my graph according to my coordinate pairs, it would be a 45-degree angle line, okay? Which is great. I would suggest you actually get the kids to draw the graphs when you're doing this exercise. What we're then going to do is we're going to edit our X. So we're going to multiply it with the 3. And we're going to see, we're going to leave the first X as it is. And we're going to change the second X to a 3X. And we're going to see what happens to our data. And if you look at my bottom here, you'll see 0 times 3 or 0 times 1 is still 0. But if we look at the next one, here we've got 1 and 3 and 2 and 6. So if we were drawing a graph, we would see the one is here and the other one is much steeper. And that obviously shows our students that when you change your graph, when you change the gradient of your graph or the thing in front of the X, it changes the slope of your graph. You can then do this with a negative value or a fraction value, just to get the different ideas between the slopes of the graph. Once they're happy with that, we can change it to a negative. So now here you can see I've got the negative and positive, so they'll cross like this, which is also really nice. And then what you can do once you're happy with that is investigate your y-intercept, your +3. So here again, we start with basic X, then we add an X plus 3. So here it's just regular. Here it's 1 plus 3 is 4, 2 plus 3 is 5, and so on and so forth. Okay. So Galaxy J4, I'm not sure who you are. It will be a similar lesson at 2, but a couple of different things added in. I might have to shorten it because I see these are quite long. Okay, so same, except we are subtracting 3 and adding 3, and you can see the difference here. as well. And that will just show you that the graph will stay the same. It will just have separated by a certain amount of space every time. So someone requested a lesson on, or they wanted to look at scale. I assume you're teaching math lit, I hope you're here. So we looked at how scale affects what is perceived. And if I found these pictures on Google very quickly just by saying misleading scale. So even if you get your students to search that, they should be able to find examples of a misleading scale. And you can see that they're trying to make it look like a huge difference, but actually it's not really if you drew the questions, if you drew the graphs accurately with the correct scale. And you can see what they've done here, which is not right at all. Okay, so some of the questions that you can ask your students is, what is the graph telling me about? What are the significant points? For example, what are we trying to say with these graphs? And how much space do I have? So when I'm drawing my actual scale, how much space on my paper do I have? What I need to get across to my teacher or my audience for this graph, etc., etc. And then a great exercise is actually to get your students to create their own misleading graphs. Once they see how easy it is, they'll be much more careful of what they read and believe on the internet. We hope. Yeah. All right, so I wanted to do an example with you of a basic graph, and you can see from here that I've done, I have 410x plus 125, and if you look down here at my 0 and my 125, you'll see the jump of 410. So this is, sorry, let me just explain what the graph is. So X is the number of days, and Y is the cost to rent a car per day. So now, if we were looking at scale, what we could also do is change our step over here to 7, and then you would have a weekly cost basis. So this would change your scale and how you would draw your graph, your scale in weeks versus your scale in number of days, and you could change it to months and so on and so forth. So it's a really nice way to show them how scale affects what you are doing. As you can see, it's very expensive to rent a car for 2 weeks. Thanks, Anna. Okay, calculus. There were a couple of requests for calculus. Now, calculus is quite broad. So firstly, we do have an EL-W536, which I brought with me. Give me a sec. So this is it here. It's very pretty. It's 640 functions. It does everything but make coffee, which I'm quite sad about, but we're working on that. So what you can do with the W506 is both integration, which you'll see over here, and differentiation. The simulator is available to download from Maths at Sharp. The link is here on this little orange button. Oh, no, it's not. That's to my one. But I will send you a link for the W506 if you are interested. And what's really nice about that is you can just use it for equation solving, matrices, complex numbers, etc., etc. With regards to solving for X on the EL-W535, you can use the table mode. So you can just plug in your function and look for where your Y is 0. That will obviously give you your X values. So in other words, X is equal to 3 or 4, etc., etc. Okay, I know I've run out of time. I can see people are leaving, but I wanted to finish off with this one. So we're nearly at the end, I promise, 2 more minutes. So it is approved by the Department of Education. You can order them directly from us at S&D. We will give you amazing retail pricing. We were discussing the difference in pricing, and you're looking at almost 100 Rand difference between retail and ordering it directly with us. We will have it delivered to your school as well. If, however, that is too complicated for you, they are available everywhere and will be available at back to school, obviously at better pricing than current pricing. So this will really just help us to get out there, and your feedback also would be really great as well. So thank you very, very much for your time. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to spend an hour with me. And if you need free worksheets, we have worksheets from grade 8 to 12, maths, math literacy, and a few technical maths. I'm sorry, technical maths, guys. Worksheets that you can download, exam papers, all the memos are fully worked out step by step for you. So please, they're all free. So please just use them, share them with your teachers. What we realize in the pandemic is that we need to be helping each other with anything and everything. So thank you so much for spending your time with me. I think I have another poll that I would love you to do about your feelings. So please, would you just say, how are you feeling? Was it awesome? Was it horrendous? Did I make it too complicated? Did I talk too fast? Do you want to go home? Have you had enough? Don't worry, I will only cry a little bit. I have chocolate hidden somewhere, stashed away. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And I will again mail you with a slightly longer survey. So I see there's a couple of chats. I'm just going to look at these chat questions. AJ, I'll chat to you. Let me just send you a meeting request and then we can chat on Zoom. Thank you, Cookie. Thanks, Pops. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. What do I need to repeat? The person who said, please repeat the last one. Obviously, I should probably send, I should probably spend more time and schedule it for longer. But yes, so if you have any questions, Jade, how do we join the Euclidean geometry meeting? Once the details are finalized, I will again send out a mail like we did with this first webinar, so that you can sign up and register. I'm thinking about changing the registration form slightly so it might be easier to use, and it will be directly linked to the Zoom functionality. But if you're keen, I'm glad to see that, because that's really exciting. We had so many people who were interested in Euclidean geometry. I think it's a very important topic that doesn't get covered enough. Thanks, Jade. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Awesome. Thank you so much for this poll. Great. Oh, let me share this poll so that you guys can see. And then can I share another poll with you? So I'm glad to see it was almost. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate that. I was really nervous and really excited at the same time. My husband has been laughing at me because, you know, the last one I wanted to ask is for feedback. So there's just 2 questions here. Please, would you just answer these for me? And then thank you again so much for your time. It looks like you guys were happy with this, so we'll definitely do it again in the future. I'm just going to look at your chats. Thanks, Sally Ann. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's a pleasure, Yvonne. I'm glad you like them. The worksheets are my baby. I enjoy them. Okay, so definitely. Okay, so thank you so much for your feedback. This is really helpful. It does help me to plan for the next ones, which it seems we should do. So we'll definitely start looking into that, and keep your eye out for the Euclidean geometry, which will probably be the next one on our space. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to end that so you can see. So would you do this again? Thank you, guys. That's really awesome. Again, thank you so much for your time. You're welcome to mail me if you have any questions, and I will send out the link to the presentation and a quick registration form where you can sign and tell me where I need to send your calculators to. I realize that some teachers are still working from home, so that's awesome. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Cheers.